Guys, we're back with another vid. So the last 3 videos we're talking about the survey stage, the letter of intent. Briefly covered the lease and kind of talked to you guys about the 2 ways that I've seen common ways to go about in drafting a lease in California are. But now I want to talk about, okay, the lease has been finalized, right? If you're a commercial real estate broker, you can celebrate, your job is done, right? No. Again, once the lease has been signed, you're now, as a commercial real estate broker, gonna make the handoff to property management. So what do I mean by handoff? So normally it is your job, if you're on the landlord's team, to go ahead and first provide the tenant with a fully executed copy. And again, depending on the ownership, this can be done via DocuSign. I know ownerships like some of the ones that I represent still prefer wet inks, meaning landlord has one original copy of the lease that is signed by both the landlord and the tenant, and then the tenant receives an original copy as well. And then what you're gonna do, at least what I do most often as a landlord broker, is I introduce the new incoming tenant to the property management team, and I make a formal introduction because now they're going to be a running point from here on out. So my job as the broker phases out, property managers step in, deal directly with the tenant, and start doing any tenant improvements that the lease outlined to get the space ready for this new incoming office tenant. Now, I will comment that most brokers will then usually take a passive approach when it comes to this stage. I tend to, again, from a customer service standpoint, really still be there, because over the past few weeks, depending on if you've worked with the tenant directly or if you've worked with the tenant's broker directly, I usually assume kind of a leadership role and definitely want to have my hands involved whenever I can to assist and make this as smooth as possible. So even when you're kind of letting go, and normally now it is the property manager's job to run point on construction, oftentimes anytime a tenant will still reach out for questions, I always do make myself available. I don't just pivot them off to property management. I give them gentle reminders that, hey, now it's really the property manager's job here and they're running point, so please direct all your questions there. But if you're the landlord side or the landlord's broker, I still believe that you have a duty from a customer service standpoint to make that experience for the incoming tenant as smooth as possible. You should be helpful, you should answer their questions, and just be an extra contact if they need it. Because your job, if you're the landlord's broker, was to go out and lease the space, find a good credit-worthy tenant that's going to be a great addition for your client, in this case the landlord. But you want that tenant to have a good experience in the time after the lease is executed, right? Because they're going to remember that for the next how many ever years that they lease their space. Because one day, right, when they have to renew their lease, they want to have nothing but positive experiences if you want to then renew them for an additional X number of years. So I don't think that it's emphasized enough when in commercial real estate how important that is, how customer service just in general is important. So I'm a firm believer that, hey, it's never crowded on the extra mile. I always play the long game when it comes to not only being a broker but as a landlord, and doing small things like that will definitely go a long way. So guys, I hope you found that video helpful, but that's normally what happens after a lease is executed. You're gonna make a nice handoff to the property managers. We're then gonna work with the general contractors, right? And basically get the space ready by whatever target date was listed within the lease. Sometimes those target timelines can be very tight. So if you're a good broker, you wanna set the expectations up in the other stages to avoid a situation where the new incoming tenant can then get frustrated potentially that, hey, I had a lease that said I was gonna be into this space by X date. You guys are running behind in construction. So always be a good manager of expectations if you're a broker. But again, I hopefully found this helpful in this kind of series. Again, you have a survey stage where you're out searching for options, touring, then a letter of intent, start making offers. Then once you get to a lease, you want to get through that as quickly as possible, but it can take anywhere from a few days to a few weeks. And once that's done, right, the deal is final, but now you are going to make the handoff to the property managers. So they're getting the space ready. A tenant could be then relocating, right? So they're also dealing with a move during this time. So that's what normally commercial real estate office deal looks like. And again, I hope you found all that helpful. If you have any questions, drop those in the comments. I can make future videos about those, answering any of those questions that you may have. Don't be afraid to hit that like button and subscribe. I'll be back with some more content for you. Take care.